Unaware of my disgust, my husband boldly declared, "Alyssa, let's sell your family home. It's a great deal. We got this offer thanks to her. You can overlook a little affair for this." Yeah, sure, like I would sell my family home, you cheater. There's a limit to how much you can belittle people. I am Alyssa. This is the 5th year of my marriage to Nick. Our beloved son just turned 4. We got married because of an unexpected pregnancy, and our child was born immediately after. We have done our best to raise him together, figuring things out along the way. We wanted to continue working together and have another child. I assumed my husband felt the same way, but around the time our son turned 2, his enthusiasm for parenting waned. The catalyst was probably our son's terrible twos. As soon as our adorable son started to assert his independence, Nick essentially retired from childcare. He has always been a person whose enthusiasm quickly cools, so I was actually surprised he had focused on parenting for even 2 years. Around the same time, a very shocking event occurred. Both of my parents suddenly fell ill and passed away. Even though they loved each other very much, I wish they hadn't had to leave together. I returned to my parents' home once a month to take care of the property. I have a younger brother, but he works far away, so the house maintenance is mainly my responsibility. When no one's living in a house, it deteriorates quickly, so I ventilate the rooms and weed the garden. It's an hour's drive to my parents' house. At first, Nick used to come with me, but he gradually stopped coming, and now it's just my son and I. My son loves running around the spacious house and garden. I'm attached to this house and reluctant to let it go. But it's been 2 years since my parents died, and it might be time to let the house go. I've been thinking about this recently. I came home earlier than planned one day and saw an unfamiliar car in our driveway. It was a cute compact car with several large plush toys, like ones you'd win at a game arcade, inside. What's this car doing here? I had a bad feeling. Carrying my sleeping son, I quietly opened the front door. There, cute pumps were haphazardly scattered in the hallway, and clothes littered the path to our bedroom. A shirt, pants, a dress. I felt my blood drain from my face. I instantly recognized the clothes as Nick's, but the dress wasn't mine, nor were the shoes. There was someone else in the bedroom with Nick. A part of me was panicking. Why? What? How? But another part of me was calm. This is adultery. I need evidence. I used my smartphone to document the situation. Should I confront Nick in the bedroom right now? Yes, I should burst in and demand an explanation. But then my sleeping son made a little sound. This snapped me out of it. If Nick lost his temper or the woman got violent, my son could be in danger. I had never thought Nick would be that kind of person, but suddenly, I was worried. Biting my lip in frustration, I decided against barging into the scene. I went back to my car and took a deep breath. I wouldn't let this man get away with this. Just before the time Nick was expecting us home, the front door opened. A flashy woman and Nick came out. They were all smiles, waving goodbye, and even sharing a kiss. I made sure to capture this scene with my phone. I had left my son with a friend. She had agreed to watch him for a couple of hours without any explanation. "I don't know what happened, but you can talk to me about anything," she told me. It was reassuring and comforting. As soon as the woman left, I got out of my car. First, I would corner Nick, then deal with the woman. With the mindset of a challenger entering a martial arts dojo, I opened our front door. "I'm home." "Oh, you're early," he responded, clearly flustered. Of course he was. His clothes were still strewn across the floor. The bedroom was probably a mess. That woman, if she was gonna have an affair, she should have cleaned up before leaving. Who was that woman just now? Huh? Just now? Nick's flustered response ignited my anger. What the? I have proof, you know. Don't play dumb. Admit you cheated, you scum. How did you feel kissing her at the front door? No way. Nick looked like a fish out of water, opening and closing his mouth. Well, who is she? What's going on? How long has this been going on? Well, she was introduced by a senior colleague. We've been seeing each other since last Valentine's Day. Last year? Surprisingly long. Plus, around last Valentine's Day was when he lost his enthusiasm for parenting. So he was neglecting our beloved son for his mistress? Unbelievable. Nick was flustered, his hands and eyes moving about erratically. I have something to tell you. Just wait a sec, he said, and rushed to the living room. He came back with a stack of papers. Look at this. He shoved the papers into my hands. I reluctantly looked at the papers. What's this? A real estate sales contract? That's right. What the F is this? Is this some sort of quiz? Here's the question. When a wife confronts her husband about his affair, he pulls out a real estate sales contract. What is the husband trying to communicate? As if I know the answer to such a difficult question. I skimmed through the papers while feeling increasingly irritated. As I read further, I felt a sense of urgency that this could not be overlooked. That's because those papers detailed the sale of my parents' house. Wait a minute. Why are you selling my parents' house? The affair was shocking, but the selling of my family home was out of the blue. The answer to the earlier quiz seems to be, I cheated in order to make a real estate sale. The truth of the matter was becoming more and more distant. My husband started talking. The woman earlier, Cindy, she knows an amazing woman. Her name is Jessica, and she runs various businesses and also holds seminars. I've attended several of her seminars with Cindy, and she's really incredible. Both my mom and dad completely trust Jessica. She even knows many celebrities. And Jessica is saying she will buy your parents' house. She can purchase the property cheaper than the market value, and we can make more money than selling through a real estate agent. I met with Jessica today and made the contract. Okay. In addition to Cindy, a new character named Jessica appeared. She knew celebrities, she held seminars, she was involved in real estate. My husband was excited. Finally, things started to make sense. In other words, my husband's next interest had shifted to a very suspicious area. He was such a fool, I thought, but it kind of made sense. However, I didn't want to be involved. My husband, unaware of my disgust, boldly said, Alyssa, let's sell that house. No one lives there anymore, and it's not a problem if it's gone, right? We can make a fortune from useless stuff. Isn't it amazing? And we got this great deal thanks to Cindy. You can overlook a little affair for this. What? And Cindy told me there's a nice new property for sale right now. Let's buy that house with the money from selling your parents' house. What the hell are you talking about? I'm talking about the future. It's a large and beautiful house, and there's also a guest room. I can hold seminars there. On days when there's no seminar, I can invite Cindy over. Isn't it a great idea? I was dumbfounded. I felt all the strength leaving my body. You're being scammed. It's a shady business. You should back out. I almost said that, but I stopped. And here's the next question. Why didn't the wife try to warn her deceived husband? The answer is simple. Because he is no longer going to be her husband. Overlook a little affair? What is he saying, trying to sell my precious family home without permission? Inviting Cindy into the guest room? What is he planning to do in a house where our son and I live? I can't believe I've been married to such an idiot for 5 years. No, I said from the bottom of my stomach. I refuse. I won't let go of my parents' house for a bonehead like you disgusting man. I was surprised that the word bonehead came out of my vocabulary, but at this point, I didn't care. What did you say? That's a problem. I would lose Jessica's trust. I don't give a shit. I threw the stack of papers away. I'm gonna leave this house. Where's my travel bag? Oh, it's in the bedroom. The place where the idiot husband and Cindy were fooling around. Damn it. I don't want to go in, but I have no choice but to go get the bag. Ignoring the annoying crying Nick, I packed my belongings. Mine and my son's. And then I took everything important and ran away from home. I couldn't bear to stay there any longer. As I rushed out of the house, I went to pick up my son. I explained to my friend that I had walked in on my husband's affair and handed her thank you sweets for accepting my sudden request. She was sympathetic and worried. I then knocked on the door of a lawyer's office and told them that my husband was trying to sell property that I owned without my consent. I also told them about his bizarre obsession with the suspicious seminars. The lawyer listened to my concerns empathetically. The consultation fee of $50 for 30 minutes was not cheap. I paid a total of $200 for 2 hours. But it was worth it because I learned as many measures as possible. My husband called me around noon the next day. Hey, let's talk. This was his lunch break at work. According to my brilliant deduction, he had cried to his parents the night before, overslept in the morning, and finally called me at lunch. His tone suggested that my anger should have cooled by now. Yes, it's completely cooled. My love for you, that is. Yeah, I thought we needed to talk too. I thought so. I was mad at you because you ran out all of a sudden. Oh, infuriating. But I have to be patient. Arguing over every single thing won't get us anywhere. I wonder if it's possible for us to continue as husband and wife. I don't think we can. I can't trust you if you don't understand the greatness of Jessica and Cindy. If you were willing to go to the next stage with me, like my parents, I think we could continue as a couple. I can't do that. What the F does he mean by the next stage? I should refrain from unnecessary retorts for now. You can live freely with our son. I'll live happily with Cindy and my parents. Let's divorce. All right, but I won't sell my family home. Ah, about that. His solemn voice brightened a bit. Give me that building as alimony. What? It's natural for you, who can't appreciate the connection I've made with those two, to pay me alimony. Listen, you had an affair. That makes you the guilty spouse. Why should the guilty spouse get alimony? See, that's the difference between you and me. Oh my God. I don't care about your idiotic interpretation of the law of your bonehead republic. Stay away, Alyssa. Stay away. Fine, I'll hire a lawyer. It's better for you to give it up willingly than to go to court. I wonder if my husband has a lawyer who's good at the law in Bonehead Republic. Okay, but I will also hire a lawyer. I'll demand alimony for the affair based on the laws of our country, and child support. And I want a divorce immediately. You're on lunch break right now, right? Let's meet at the city office and submit the paperwork right away. If that's not possible, I'll take the divorce papers to your office right now. Ugh. He let out a deep sigh that grated on my nerves. But the thought of me bringing divorce papers to his office must have been too much for him, and he came to the city office right away. He and I submitted the divorce papers without exchanging a single word. 2 mom friends came with me to sign the witness section. At this point, I wouldn't have minded if Jessica and Cindy had signed. After divorcing my husband, I returned to my hometown with my son. We decided to live in my family home, which had been empty. I left all the annoying dealings with my ex-husband to my lawyer. By the time a few months had passed, my son had completely gotten used to his new environment. His terrible twos was also beginning to calm down. Fortunately, he didn't want to see his father, and I didn't feel bad about it at all. I also started working and was leading a fulfilling life. One day, I received a call from my ex-husband. Oh, I don't want to answer it. That's what the lawyer is for. I ignored the calls, but he was persistent. He left multiple calls from morning till night, and I lost my patience. I decided to answer the next time he called. 10 minutes after making that decision, the next call came. All right, let's settle this. Stop calling me! If you want to talk, do it with the lawyer. That's your first words to me after such a long time? Yeah, that's right, jerk. But if you've been ignored this much, you should give up. What the F do you want, jerk? Please excuse my French. You're at your family home now, right? Yeah, so? Then why can't I submit the moving out notice? Huh? As I coolly responded to my ex-husband's unreasonable outburst, one possibility came to mind. That was advice from the lawyer I consulted with before the divorce. I needed to sell your family home. Tell me your address. Are you still trying to sell it? Well, regardless, my argument will eventually go through, and that house will be sold sooner or later. I just need money urgently because I bought a new house. So I thought I'd get the selling process over with first. No, your argument won't pass. Your lawyer is also a citizen of this country. Both lawyers are looking for common ground in the discussions. According to my lawyer, the other lawyer seems to be exhausted because my ex-husband only insists on things that are not legally feasible. If it comes to a trial, his lawyer will likely resign. By the way, what were you planning to do after learning my address? Jessica told me in detail. She said that if I change your address and register a seal at the new location, the building registration can be changed. You're so dumb, you probably didn't know that, huh? But when I tried to submit your notification at the city hall, they told me that it was different from your current address, and they didn't accept my moving out notice. I did put down your family home's address, so what's going on? Seal registration on a moving out notice, huh? That's a serious crime in this country. What? Serious? There's no mistake. This is a trick I was told about by the lawyer I consulted with. Changing someone's address without their permission, registering a seal at the new location, creating a seal certificate, and changing the building registration to sell it. Apparently, there's such a scheme. To avoid becoming a victim of it, I temporarily moved my residence card to a location other than my family home, to my brother's place. My ex-husband doesn't know my brother's address. He only knows that he's in a different state. And just in case, I've also placed a viewing restriction on my residence card. So my ex-husband can't change my address on his own. He certainly can't sell my family home on his own. Thank you, Mr. Lawyer, for telling me. A crime? How rude. I was just doing as Jessica told me. From her point of view, you are just a handyman who would commit a crime for her. Plus, you probably got your mistress to write a letter of attorney for me, didn't you? That's forgery of private documents. There's also the use of forged private documents. What? But I've already signed a sale agreement for your family home with her. Cindy said she has experience in forging letters of attorney, so I left it up to her. Well, then both Cindy and Jessica are accomplices. They're in cahoots to set you up. What? I bet Jessica has given up on my ex-husband's stupidity. The plan to sell the family home was probably revealed to me too soon. The divorce was over in an instant. The discussions related to the divorce are not going well. He can't figure out a plan to steal my family home from me. So she's probably thinking she can't make any more money from this guy, and she decided to sell him a new house and get out. Well, it's just speculation. As I imagine my ex-husband turning pale over the phone, I feel both pathetic and pitiful. Recently, my dad started saying similar things to you. That Jessica and Cindy are suspicious, and I should consult with the police. But that can't be. Ooh, his father has regained his sanity. That's good to hear. Even though it's not my business anymore. I think you should listen to your dad. After all, you're a guy who gets heated easily, and when you concentrate, you can't see anything around you. You're just a lost cause who can't tell the difference between right and wrong. So, don't ever contact me again, you idiot. Saying that, I hung up the phone. I felt refreshed after saying what I wanted to say and blocked his calls. Now, it's just a matter of watching from afar. So, this is what happened afterward. My ex-husband heeded his father's advice and ran to the police, and Jessica and Cindy were promptly arrested. It turns out the pair were a couple making a living off scams. As expected, they have been taking advantage of Nick. Without my knowledge, he and his family were swindled out of a significant amount of money. The new house they were introduced to by the two was actually secondhand. My ex-husband and his parents were on the verge of being stripped of everything they had. Thanks to them going to the police, they narrowly escaped danger. However, my ex-husband was severely scolded by the police for trying to sell my family home without permission. He was not prosecuted this time, but if he had done it, he would probably have gone to prison. I'm really glad that the situation didn't turn into something crazy, like my son's father being a criminal. The incident is temporarily resolved. I moved my residence card, which I had evacuated to my brother's place, back to my family home. Man, did I go through a lot. Later, a query came through my husband's lawyer asking if there was a possibility of remarriage. Hell no! I responded that if he has time to have such convenient delusions, he should be paying alimony and child support punctually. The ones who showed understanding to my uncompromising response were not my ex-husband, but his parents. They reflected on the fact that they have been driven crazy by being deceived by the Jessica couple, and they paid the alimony instead of their son. That's right. It's a little crazy to be swayed by the sweet words of your son's mistress. Normally, you'd get angry and say, "Don't cheat, you foolish son." The child support is expected to be paid bit by bit every month by Nick. I thought I must raise my son properly, keeping this lesson in mind. Raise him to be a person who can tell right from wrong. I will study the methods used by people who deceive others and teach them to my son. But maybe it's too early for him to learn about scams and money. He's running around energetically in the spacious yard of my family home. "Mommy, I caught a butterfly!" Wow, that's great! Let's set it free later, okay? When I see my son's big smile, I feel happy. I decided to live freely and joyfully with my son in this house where I was born and raised.
Wait, William is standing on his own. Come here and see it. I was shocked, and a strange voice came out of me.
No way! What are you talking about? Huh?
My husband was shocked too. My father-in-law looked at us with kind eyes and said,
Well, let us go camping.
My name is Luna, a 55-year-old housewife. My husband, Harry, is an ordinary businessman of the same age. My son, Ronald, also a businessman, is married and is the father of a little boy who is not yet 1 year old. His wife is a very nice person, and our families get along well. The only problem was the conflict with my husband's family. It goes back to when our marriage was finalized. I was 27 years old and I met Harry at my workplace. I had heard that he had grown up in a very normal family, but when it came time to marry him, I found out that he actually came from a very wealthy family and that the rest of his family had brilliant backgrounds. His parents had a successful business career running a trading company, and his brother, Fred, 2 years younger than my husband, had graduated from a very prestigious national university and has started a successful IT venture company since then. Fred was married before Harry, and his wife was also a career woman. When it was time to meet his family, "So, you are the future wife of Harry? You must be happy to be the bride of a wealthy family like ours." That's what my mother-in-law, Molly, said to me. Moreover, my brother-in-law's wife and mother-in-law seemed to be on the same wavelength and got along very well. I felt a little uneasy, but Harry said,
Don't worry, my mother hated me for a long time and I hardly socialize with my family at all.
I believed my husband's words and we got married. After we were married, Molly was always sarcastic to me. When I gave birth to my first son by cesarean section after a difficult delivery, she said, "Cesarean section is such an easy way to give birth. Fred's wife had a natural birth, but it was super easy. I'm sure a well-educated career woman has a different quality in what she does." When my son went to elementary school, "Fred's son is going to a famous private elementary school." My husband is unperturbed, but one day he told me this story.
I've always been compared to my brother. I was just average in everything I did, but my brother was smart, athletic, and could do anything. So my mother's only concern was Fred. She always put him first in everything. My only escape was my father. He treated me and my brother equally. But my mother didn't like that, and I think that's when my parents' marriage started to deteriorate.
My husband is right. My father-in-law William is a very gentle and kind man. When Molly said terrible things to me, he would casually send me follow-up emails, and sometimes he even apologized to me. It was William who gave my son a beautiful school bag when he started elementary school, and it was William who supported our family emotionally and financially when my husband failed at his job and was temporarily transferred to another region. My father-in-law retired from running his trading company at the age of 75. Molly stepped down at the same time too, and here we are today. I have come to appreciate William more than words can express. But then, William suffered a blow to his tailbone. He slipped on the stairs at home. Worried, I went to my husband's parents' house and found Molly and Fred. And Molly said, "Oh, William is so careless. He's going to have to rest for a while. So I'm thinking about you moving in with us."
Are you talking about us?
Harry asked, and Molly answered, "No, who would live with a couple like you who are so normal at anything? With Fred and his wife, who are the best at everything, I don't have to worry about my future anymore." That's what she said. And so my brother-in-law's family moved into my parents-in-law's house. Our house and my husband's parents' house are about 10 minutes away by car. The house is very nice, like a wealthy family's house, and there is even a small pond in the garden, so it looks like a little castle. William likes to do the gardening. There were many colorful flowers in the garden. Soon after they moved in together, I went to my husband's parents' house to see how things were going. When I went to William's room, to my surprise, he was lying in a corner of the dimly lit walk-in closet. Not only that, the study that William had used before his injury was now being used by my husband's brother as if he owned it. I complained to Molly about the situation. "Molly, I think you're treating William very badly." "Oh, I can use the room for Fred's work." "William won't use it, so I'm just putting it to good use." But that doesn't stop me from feeling sorry for him in that dingy place. I got angry, and Molly got even angrier. "I'm using a place that's not being used, making the most of the space. Can't you even understand that?" I couldn't talk back anymore and went back to William.
I'm sorry to worry you.
William said apologetically. "No, don't be sorry. Is there anything I can help you with?" Then William looked a bit lonely and said,
If you could do me a favor, would you water the flowers in my garden?
I looked and saw that the flowers in the garden, which were supposed to be beautiful, were limp. Fortunately, I also enjoyed gardening, so I readily agreed, and I visited my husband's parents' house every day to do the gardening, as well as take care of William. Molly and Fred and his wife looked annoyed, but I couldn't be bothered with that when I thought about William. A few weeks later, William celebrated his birthday. Molly informed us that William was turning 80 and that she was having a family birthday party. Harry and I were also invited, and it was supposed to be a fun birthday party. When we arrived at the house that day, the party had already started, and Fred and his wife and Molly were chatting about something. But we couldn't find William there. "Hey, where is William?" Molly answered smilingly. "Huh? He's at his usual place. It's so hard to bring William's bed. William told me to leave him alone and have fun without him." I was mortified, and then I got angry. But that didn't mean you could leave William alone. This is a celebration for William, right? Then Molly looked annoyed. "Then why don't you guys just go to William's? I don't like that dingy place." "Okay," I said, and so did my husband.
Mom, you're so awful,
he murmured sadly. Then we both went to William's.
You came to see me?
William was very happy to see us. "Happy birthday. I hope you get well soon and recover from your injuries." We celebrated William's birthday in the dimly lit room. William was delighted with the yellow umbrella we had given him to use when he gets well, and he looked at it happily for a long time. After his birthday, I took care of the flowers in the garden every day. William remained bedridden. Then one day, something happened that made me shocked. Early in the morning, when I arrived at my husband's parents' house, Molly and Fred and his wife appeared in front of me, carrying several large suitcases.
Well, take care of William, will you?
I didn't get what was going on.
We're going on a week-long trip to Guam. You can tell by looking at us, you really are dumb, she said.
I didn't know you were going on a trip, I answered.
I don't have to tell you. You are at home every day anyway, taking care of William.
Huh? Well, what about William?
You can take care of him. I can't take William with us. We're tired of taking care of him every day. Are we not even allowed to have a break every once in a while?
Molly got angry. Fred and his wife were just nodding and agreeing with her. I was beyond angry and disgusted. All right then, take care. I said this with a lot of sarcasm and accepted the house key they gave me.
I'm looking forward to being abroad for the first time in a long time.
Molly and Fred and his wife went off, ignoring my glare. After they departed, I hurriedly finished the gardening and went into William's room.
I'm sorry, Luna.
William's face is downcast. Please don't say that. Take your time. I set a small table next to the bed with William's favorite foods. Then I invited my husband to join us for dinner. It was a very delicious and enjoyable dinner. Then I noticed William's eyes were tearing up when he was sipping his soup. Is everything all right? Something doesn't suit your taste? I was worried, but William said quietly,
No, you always treated me well, and I'm really glad to have a good daughter-in-law like you.
Molly and Fred and his wife are always having a lively dinner downstairs while William is alone and lonely upstairs every day. Just the thought of it made my heart clench in my chest. The next day was a day off, so my husband and I decided to stay the night. The three of us chatted and enjoyed ourselves until William fell asleep. The next morning, when I saw the garden, I was surprised to see William standing there on his own taking care of the flowers. William?
Good morning, Luna.
William was doing the gardening as if nothing had happened. I hurriedly called my husband. Honey, William is standing there on his own. Come quickly. I was so surprised that my voice became strange.
What are you talking about? My father must be bedridden.
My husband too, who has come scurrying to the edge of the house, reacted like me.
Huh?
He was speechless. William looked at us kindly and said softly,
Well, let us go camping.
We were surprised, but William remained calm. He asked us to prepare for an overnight trip. We were so surprised that we just did as we were told and went back to our house to prepare. William was still standing on his own after all and looking very well.
Could you drive for us?
We headed for a campground in the mountains. We put our bags down, settled in, and asked William, What the hell is going on? William chuckled and said,
I'm sorry I tricked you. I was a little skeptical. I guess it was right after we moved in together. I overheard a secret conversation between Molly and Fred.
It went something like this. William is going to be bedridden if he keeps this up. It's really annoying, Molly said.
Then there's a good facility. We'll put him there. He won't last long anyway. We can change the owner of the land and the house to us before Dad passes away, and if we can get him to write a will, it would be perfect. You would get a fair share too, Mom. Dad is bedridden, and he'll be convinced in no time if I talk to him.
Fred said, That's a good idea, and the sooner we make this clear, the better. We'll do it after we get back from our trip to Guam with William's pension money.
Okay.
At that point, William knew what they were planning to do after he passed away, and he got to know about the Guam trip.
This is no longer a family.
William thought so. He decided not to give any of the land, house, and property to Molly and Fred. William decided to pretend to be bedridden to fool Molly and Fred, and walked around the yard at night when they were asleep to keep his legs strong so that he would not completely lose the ability to walk. And then he decided to see who would get the inheritance. William said proudly.
I've been waiting for my chance ever since I pretended to be bedridden. I want you two to inherit everything.
Molly and Fred returned home a week later, after enjoying their trip to Guam. By then, William had consulted a lawyer and changed the title of the house and land to my husband. He also completed the will regarding the inheritance. Then, Molly, Fred, and his wife returned home.
Oh wait, what's wrong?
They were shocked to see William strolling around. William just said to them,
I need to talk to you about the future. Come to the living room.
William called all the family members to the living room.
Oh, William, why are you standing on your own?
William answered,
I recovered a long time ago, and I've been doing rehabilitation work secretly in the middle of the night when you're all asleep so that I won't lose the ability to walk. I know everything you're up to.
Huh? Molly was shocked.
You would have put me in an institution and tried to take the land and house for yourselves and inherit everything from me.
Molly and Fred became pale.
It must be some kind of misunderstanding. I'm sure of it because I heard you and Molly talking in my room with my own ears. I'm sure you enjoyed your trip to Guam with the pension I'd saved up. I found out about that with just one look at the bank book.
William glared at them.
First of all, I've decided to give this house and land to my eldest son, Harry.
And he spread the deeds on the table.
What?
Molly and Fred froze, their faces pale.
There's more. Listen.
William did not care about their reaction and continued his talk.
I've decided to ask Harry and his wife to take care of my estate, and I've drawn up a will. Why? I'm sorry to say this, but Harry is an ordinary businessman, and we can manage the money better than him. After all, I run a company.
Fred finally interrupted.
Managing money can indeed be difficult. That's why I made sure to introduce him to a good lawyer and tax accountant.
But William, Fred is better at everything than Harry. Molly got insistent, but William said,
Fred, isn't your company on the verge of collapse? How did you know that? A friend of mine from my days as a business owner is well informed, and he told me that your company is looking for a large loan, but that you don't think you can repay it.
Huh? At William's suggestion, Fred began to look like he was about to cry.
Come to think of it, a reporter from a business newspaper came to interview me the other day. He said something about investments.
With that remark, my husband held out a business card from a well-known newspaper on the desk.
Then that reporter wanted me to tell you that he'd already backed it up. What does it mean, Fred?
William asked, and Fred seemed to have given up.
It's true. I made a bad investment. I got the money from the investors, and when I handed it over to him, he disappeared. They took the money and ran. I wanted to sell the real estate I was going to inherit from you and use it to pay off the debt.
Fred confessed and looked down at the floor.
Fred, you said you were going to make money. What about my share? Oh, wait, Mom, you had invested in it too?
My husband looked up to the heavens.
I invested $300,000 because I heard it would surely make money. I told the same story to my friends, and they must have invested about $200,000 in total.
So, $500,000 in total? I was shocked too.
What kind of a company owner are you when you can't even recognize such a scam? I can't trust my fortune to someone like that. Shame on you. Molly, I knew about your investment of $300,000. I checked all the bank books when you went on our trip to Guam. You will take the responsibility, and you will leave this house.
I can't do that, William. I only have this house to live in.
It was you and Fred who neglected your precious home. Dad, please help us.
William, please. Ignoring their desperate begging, William left the room. After that, Fred had to pay back his investors and let go of the company. He tried to start another company, but it failed because he lost all trust in society. Fred's wife would never forgive him for such a situation, and they divorced soon after. Even with Molly, with whom he had been so close when they no longer had any money, they ended up fighting terribly. In the end, they had a terrible quarrel. William and Molly also divorced. When they divorced, their property was divided, but most of it had to be used to pay off Molly's friends who invested, so there was very little left over. Molly, who got in financial trouble after the divorce, managed to live with the little allowance William gives her every month, but all we hear are complaints. She has no family, no money, and lives lonely on her own. The other day, I met Molly passing through my neighborhood. She was still arrogant. Living alone is so much easier. But I could see her loneliness. Harry and me, we moved to William's house. I enjoy gardening with William every day. In addition, our son has a new family member. This time it was a girl, and everyone was happy. And the happiest of all is William. His grandson comes to visit every weekend with his great-grandson. When it rains, William happily holds up the yellow umbrella we gave him the other day and goes out for a walk. The sight of William, like that, makes me feel happy every day.